Jonathan Caras, and we were just having discussion about some crypto regulations in private. But I wanted us to go live, because we're just chatting about regulations in different zones in comparison to US. We were talking about Hong Kong now trying to really open to crypto, with Justin Sun from Tron meeting with officials here, Huobi Global getting the license in Hong Kong, plus completely everyone will be allowed to trade here. Hong Kong has good the tax laws, no capital gains, no trade, no taxes on the trading or anything like this. And Jonathan was speaking also about the Middle East regulating
Yeah.
and opening to this.
I was saying that I think that there is we're at a point in the crypto cycle, and I've been around here for I guess 3 cycles, and that bird is looking at me funny. Um, so I've been here since 2016. So I've kind of seen the different narratives from various different governments. And when I got involved with crypto, it was very much a US centric industry. And I think that the US still kind of pretends or plays that crypto is a US product, or a US focused product. But I think that the you know the 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 delta between how places like Hong Kong or United Arab Emirates, and even places in South America are adjusting and creating a focused goal in order to attract innovation, and attract really innovators themselves, whether it's traders or builders or the like. And so I think we'll see that these hubs that have generally pro crypto um, mindset are going to suck a massive amount of value out of some of the regions that are taking a very different approach, and the US is no different.
And how is Israel doing? Because you are from Israel, and I feel like Israel trying to embrace that. No?
So Israel's very slow. It's very
Mhm.
Soviet in the thought process of many of these things, especially associated with banking. So Israel is really in a difficult spot because so much of the technical innovation, meaning like a lot of the core cryptography, which is just like prolific, within all of crypto, the whole technology of zero knowledge proofs, and privacy, scaling techniques, all was invented by Israeli scientists, or not
Mhm.
all of it, but a significant amount of it was. But what you see, unfortunately, is a lot of the technology is then siloed into like R&D centers, where
Mhm.
the actual the core, the decision makers, the real value capture can't remain in Israel because it's just too difficult from lack of regulatory clarity.
Mhm.
And so hopefully that will be something that changes over the next couple of years. But I think we'll still end up with, like having an R&D center with, having the board of directors and the decision makers outside of the country.
Yeah, because I know like Israel was always on the forefront of the innovation, because essentially surrounded by the enemies, like Israel had to really bet heavily on education and technology, a lot of military technology, right? And it caused the massive economic boom in the Israel. I
Yeah.
think if that's correct.
It's
So
it starts at a very young age. My son is 11, and
Mhm.
he will start formally learning cryptography in school next year. So at 12,
Yeah.
he'll be going to classes on cybersecurity and cryptography and things like that. And that's so it's I think that it's part of a cultural thing, and part of like a major focus just from the
Mhm.
government.
Yeah, like because like I think I heard that Israel does spend a lot of their GDP. They are leading in like GDP spending on education. I think like there is also South Korea and few others. You
Yeah,
know,
there's a lot of there's a lot of we get a lot of groups from South Korea that come here to
mhm,
to tour, um, both from like just the Christianity perspective, but also to tour the infrastructure, to tour the the factories and the startups and the high tech sector. So
yeah,
I know I've spoken at delegations in the past that were here to, I guess, just learn about the different implementations.
yeah. Your surname is Caras or
Yeah, so
Sarah?
that's
Caras?
it's like a type of fish. I
Yeah, of
think in
course. That's why I'm asking. Karaś.
yeah,
It's in Polish we call it karaś. So
yeah.
I
So
wasn't
they
sure if, yeah.
yep. So that's yeah, it's I think yeah, a lot of Jews when they left Europe um ended up with with interesting names that that were descriptions of animals, trees, jobs, things like that.
Yeah, like I wonder like about your background. Like I'm trying to there is no English name Karas for that fish. It's called Crucian carp because it's carp family. But yeah, in
Yep.
Poland we call it Karaś. Do you know which where from your surname actually comes? Which region?
So I don't know. I know that that my family left. I mean, I would so as far as just going back, we were kicked out of Israel in about 2,000 years ago, and then we spent
Mhm,
a bunch of time in in farther Eastern Europe, so east, like more in the Russian area, or what would later become Russia, and then traveled west, settled in the southern Ukrainian era, and that led up to the more of the Common Era, and then we. Then the Holocaust happened, and so it's the family that remained ended up in America, and then we ended up back here in Israel about 20 years ago.
mhm. Oh, so you were not born in Israel, is it? Or
No, I came here when I was as a student when I was 19,
so
and so
you were
now
born in the Ukraine?
no, I was second generation American, and
Oh, so you were already in US.
yep,
Right. So you
yeah, and
okay,
my
so
wife was first generation American. So both
right.
of us, were either uh, immigrants or grandchildren of immigrants.
It does sound like you could be somewhere from the region of Poland. I mean the backgrounds, because I think since the 13th or 14th century, Poland per capita had the largest number of Jews.
Yep.
That's up leading to the Holocaust. Big portion of them were actually later assimilated. Big portion of them did not assimilate. Actually, in the Krakow, there was like even town within the town. Not sure if you ever went there. It's
I,
called Kazimierz.
yeah, my wife has gone to visit,
Yeah.
and but I have not gotten to visit yet. But it is yeah, I was actually just reading that that the bagel was invented by Jews in Poland. I was reading
Yeah,
a
yeah,
story
that's
about that.
oh, that's so good. Yeah, just saying that. Yeah. Like so my wife one day come to me and she said, "Oh, my friend bought me a Polish bagel." I'm like, "What? It's just bagel. What you talk about?" I didn't know. I did never, but she called it Polish bagel. I don't know because why she did, but yeah, it's actually it was it's called obwarzanek and it comes from Krakow. It's like
Yeah.
this kind of dry bread. This is like and it's actually very cheap in Krakow. It's sold everywhere. So there is
Well,
a
I
lot
don't know if you, I don't know. I can tell you the story. It's apocryphal. I don't know how true it is, but there was actually a government regulation that you had to be part of a guild in order to sell baked goods in the public market,
Mhm,
and it was very hard for Jews to get accepted into the guild.
mhm,
And so some, Jewish lawyers looked through like the actual law on file as to like what's the definition
mhm,
of, baking bread and selling it. And so what they came up with is that if you took dough and you made it into a ring and then you boiled it, and then put it on a hook, like on a pole, so then that boiled dough that was sold off of the guy's back actually
Mhm.
didn't need a license in order to be able to be sold in the public market. And then that was how the bagel was invented.
Yeah. Well, this is fascinating. It's sad story, because you probably know that I think at the some point that in the population of Jews in Poland was close to 20% of the total nation, like which was completely wiped out, and the rest of people like left. So Poland ended up after war being the most like homogeneous, if that's the right word, country, like having basically just Poles, while before that it was very diverse. Even like if you look at some videos of Warsaw from 30s or Krakow, it's insane, right? Like, and like
Yeah, a
you have a lot
bustling,
of
vibrant,
gentlemen with the hats.
multinational. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Of course there were like, there were a lot of conflicts between the Poles and Jews always, but that what happens, right? But it was like very different. Like you watch these old videos and it looks completely different, right? Yeah, like as I said, you have the gentlemen's with the hats. I don't know how they are called, and
Strymel. It's the fur hat. Yeah.
yeah,
Is I don't
um,
have a strymel. I wear a different type of hat, but
yeah.
I have friends that wear those hats.
Yeah, how is the relation to do business in crypto in the Middle East? Because I know there is not great relation in the Middle East between Israel and between the Islamic countries. The Dubai is the exception, right? So United Arab.
It's funny that you mentioned that. Like we went on vacation to over Hanukkah to Egypt, and we stayed. It was a few families of us went down to Dahab, and the Egyptians are just such a pleasure. They're just like they're culturally. There's so many similarities between like
Mhm.
Egyptians and Israelis, and the like they're just like very just like warm and welcoming. And then you go to Dubai and you get a very similar feel to it.
Mhm.
And then I was in Dubai maybe a month ago, and I got to meet some people that really came from Lebanon, because of the economic crisis that's
Mhm.
happening with their fiat banking system. They've had like I think it's between it's like I think it's 60% inflation, or
Oh,
60%
yeah.
drop in value of the I think it's the Lebanese lira, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
Um, and so it's getting to kind of like go to see like the cultural camaraderie,
Mhm.
um, between the Jews and the surrounding Arabs, is especially within the crypto world, um, is really it brings a lot of optimism. Like I was at for example, like I was at a delegation in Tel Aviv about 2 months ago, presented by a group that came from Marrakesh in Morocco, and they're planning to put together a high tech slash crypto slash med tech conference in
Mhm.
2024. And so they sent a group of people to meet us, to explain like, we want you to come, we want you to be there. We think that we have so much information that we can share with each other, and we should do business with each other. And I came back and I told my wife, I was like, we're going to go to Morocco. Like, this is like, I want to meet these guys. I want to see what they're working on. I want to like, and I had a call with one of the guys afterwards that was building I think it was an NFT DEX aggregator,
Mhm.
for multi-platform. And and he told me a very similar story as to what you just told now. He's like, my grandfather remembers when 10% of the town was was Israelis, was Jewish people. And like, then after World War II, it's like they were all gone.
Mhm.
And so it's I think that there's a lot of propaganda in terms of the conflict in the Middle East, but pretty much everybody that I meet with, that's and it doesn't matter if you're religious or if you're secular, or if you're into crypto or you're not into crypto. they're interested in in being nice,
Mhm.
and in just in finding the things that we overlap on, as opposed to our differences.
I do think the situation of Israel is more nuanced than more people think. I was traveling to Israel, specifically to Jerusalem, with my wife, and the imagination was like it will be all Jewish, right? Like that's the. But I arrived, and the the reception at the hotel we talk like was Christian, and like so many people you meet on the people is actually Christian, Arabs, Jews, right? Like
Yeah,
this,
yeah, absolutely. It's
it was
I think the
so.
numbers are about uh about 8 million Jews and about and close to half a million Christians, something that I don't remember. Don't quote me on those numbers because I haven't
And
seen them.
everyone like together, right? And at the
Yeah,
same time plenty of the shops that had like Russian language in them. It was
yes.
like very weird, but yeah, that this, but you could feel also this heavy weight of religion there. Like I did feel like there's such a like impact of religion. Like it it felt like Christmas all the time, like
All the
because
time.
everyone like obviously everyone wear the certain, like not everyone, but you always see someone wearing the traditional clothes. You see a lot of like I know the Jews like also are separated in like more conservative to less conservative, so you could like this full clothing. So that was quite something like
It
and
is
then we also.
very pluralistic, and it's Jerusalem is a very special city, because it's arguably, it's the birthplace of modern religion for 90% of the people that believe in God today. Source back the cornerstone of their faith to this one small town. So that it just naturally attracts so many different people from so many different walks of life. And
Mhm.
there is, and it's also just funny. What I've learned just meeting people from other religions is that is to see kind of where the overlap is in like the Venn diagram. Like I've met like Catholics that I felt like practice a very different religion than the Orthodox Judaism that I practice. But then you can meet, you know, um, I don't even know what they're called. It's like some other groups of Christianity that are like in the Midwest of America, and you're like,
Mhm.
wow, you guys like have a very similar religion to us. And so, and then obviously like the Muslims, it's Islam and Judaism is has a tremendous amount of overlaps.
Mhm.
And so it is I had a very similar experience when I came here 20 years ago, that it's far more nuanced
Mhm.
than the evening news would make it out to be. And it's also
Mhm.
much less violent. Like I think that if every time that there was like an act of violence in New York, it like was published on the newspaper, New York would look like a much more dangerous place than it actually is.
Yeah, like I was just searching, trying to find out. I read the book last year about um the, like, that was actually focusing about this conflict, and there was two characters, was Palestinian men and Israeli men, and they both shared the same story. They both lost the children due to the conflict, right? And I'm trying to find this few the book about Ape Rogan. Have you heard?
No, I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, so this is the books about two grieving fathers, right, from these two regions that in the events lost both. Uh, the Israeli father, I think, the don't remember if the son was the military and drop on the mine in Palestine or something like this, and the other had Palestinian child that also like got caught in something, right? So But yeah, I was surprised that actually in the Israel many Palestinians live completely alone. uh
Yep. I
well,
go to the
well,
supermarket.
Palestinians are also Israeli. Like many of them, many, that's
Yep.
what, like, there is many Palestinians in the Israeli army, which like many people I think don't realize that that's how it works there. Like it's all the same, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. I feel rude because we got messages. Um,
Yeah, like
People
sorry, like
asking about
wow.
Levana. Yeah,
I
yeah. So I apologize for that. Yeah, it's a definitely it's an interesting topic. And happy to talk about it. At length. It's obviously a big part of my life. But yeah, I'd love to jump
I
into
might
everything
edit
new that's
this and
happening at
split into
Levana.
two videos, the introduction and so yes, we are here talking about Levana. Sorry for that. I hate that my channel is all about crypto because I just enjoy talking to the people and learning about these different experiences. So I will be open with you, Jonathan. I don't know much about Levana. Last time we spoke, it was completely in relation to NFTs, but Levana went off of the NFTs, and personally, I think it's the right move because Levana has other things that are interesting to notice. I must tell you, remember, I was disapproving your art before on your NFTs, and I was
Yes.
checking these blog posts. This art is so good. The new art that you have in this blog post, it's absolute fire. I don't know if this was art made for, like, especially for Levana, or you found them, but these are these little dragons that
They're
almost,
very
it's amazing.
they're very cute. It is it was a combination. So it's actually, yeah, it's a completely different artist. The previous artist is no longer part of the team.
Mhm.
And it's a lot of it is with, with the help of AI. I think
Mhm.
that the ability to be able to create frameworks, to be able to customize image content, and use things like Midjourney and a Stable Diffusion, lowers the barrier to creating custom artwork significantly, and stuff that, yeah, I was just, I was talking to the artist, is like, just from a budget perspective, that could have been, like, in that blog post that you're referring to, that could have been thousands of dollars worth of illustrations
Yeah,
a year ago. And today, it could be $200 worth.
yeah.
So
I
it's
w-
like, it's
I
a big
wouldn't
difference.
say it's AI. Yeah. Um. It looks just like someone, like one artist really did this. So could you tell me what is main focus of the Levana? I personally think it's Levana focus on trading and building the uh perpetuals platform, which is something like I'm really fascinated because I've been using the YDX, and I'm thinking like, hey, we in Cosmos really don't have any perps right now.
Well, we
So
have
this is the main
injective.
focus.
Yeah,
Mhm,
so there are some perps, but none of them really have the liquidity,
mhm,
and the it's it's a bit of a chicken and the egg. So I guess I'll start with just what our Levana's focus is, and
mhm.
then I can address kind of why we don't have it yet uh, in other platforms on Cosmos, and then where we're focusing on trying to solve that. So Levana Levana is an acronym for leverage any asset. So the core product is designed to create a protocol or a series of protocols which allow for general purpose leverage creation. So that means being able to take an asset like Atom or Bitcoin or Ethereum or Kuji or um, Stars, and then being able to apply leverage exposure, long or short, which could be used for becoming a degen and just saying like, I want to go 30x long stars, or it could be for some type of more vanilla market neutral strategy. Like, for example, let's say that you have $1 million of stars tokens. I'm just picking on stars, but for sake of analogy here, it could be anything. Um, and and you have $1 million validator, running your own validator, and you want to, and you're getting the rewards. But there's a 2 to 3 week unlock period, or there's liquidity in order to be able to close your position over a short period of time with liquid stake tokens. And so you want to be able to hedge your exposure through some type of leverage short. So that's that type of being able to earn yield while going long, and then make it market neutral by going short. So that is that's a basic building block to the global financial industry, completely independent um, of anything related to crypto. People own stock in order to get dividends. And then they want a way to be able to not be exposed to the fluctuations of the stock. People want to have futures of assets, of things that they might need at a later point down the year. And so the spot market compared to the derivatives market in the global financial ecosystem is about 1 to 40, meaning that for every $1 that's traded in spot, like on an AMM, like Osmosis, there's $40 that's traded on future contracts or perpetuals or some type of derivatives. And that's just how useful it is. So we're very bullish on the growth of the perpetual market, which is the most popular method of generating derivative or leverage exposure within crypto. And that's really that was the impetus behind the creation of the project of Levana, thus the acronym of the name. And that's what the core focus is. Now you mentioned that our last conversation was really focused on NFTs. On Terra, Levana produced probably the most popular, arguably the most popular, at least the top 5 most popular, let's say that. Most popular NFT sets and GameFi games. I think we had 8 GameFi games, which were played by over 40,000 people over the course of about 6 months. Those games were attempted to be kickstarted on Juno. So there's 3 GameFi games on Juno today, which it's been a bear market, so it's hard to attract attention around gaming. And the NFTs that were on Terra were migrated over to Juno so that they're safe and sound within a permissionless programmable environment, and they're actually going to be integrated into the Perps platform. Please God, that's the plan. Through a method very similar to what we find on DYDX, where they have the hedges, which give you premium benefits for NFT holders, or the blueberries on GMX, or some of the other NFTs that are used by some other DeFi protocols. So that's really where our focus is, and that's kind of how we got here.
I'm glad you were mentioning derivatives, because in Cosmos we had some voices about the bad sides of the liquid staking, and it took me a while because I'm learning along that derivatives are absolutely necessary to efficient markets. Like it cannot work. So the example was using, I was leveraging my derivatives to borrow against that, to increase my position, right? So it might be dangerous, but it's always like people always chase that, and derivatives allow you for doing this. And many people say if we would have no bonding periods in crypto, derivatives would not exist, which is completely not true. Like we would actually have derivatives, and it would even create the better derivatives, because the long bonding period could create the pegging of the derivative. If you don't have this, there would be fast arbitrage opportunities always. So
and also there's other forms of derivatives than an LP token you could think of as a form of derivative. If I put Atom Osmo into Osmosis, and then I get an LP token out of that, and then I use that for as collateral. I mean, that's not, that LP token doesn't actually contain within it the Atom or the Osmo. It's a derivative which represents them. It's almost like a it's a it's like that ticket that you get at the coat rack, if you go to a nice restaurant, where they take your coat and they give you a stub.
And we still don't have it. We cannot use our LP positions, as the derivative. We like many people speak about the financial NFTs, that this LP position could be financial NFT, and you can use it to leverage against that. So I want to understand like how Levana is going to work, because it's work. You are working with Osmosis team, is it correct,
Yep.
or you building on
Yep.
top of Osmosis, or that required a mutual collaboration?
So yes, so we worked very closely both on Terra and then after Terra with the Mars team. So both were incubated by Delphi Labs,
Hmm.
and both Levana and Mars. And what's interesting about I guess the migration to General Cosmos is a realization that the the overhead and challenge of launching a new app chain and then bringing liquidity to that app chain is arguably a big distraction
Hmm.
to achieving product market fit.
Hmm.
And so we're very excited to work with Osmosis to build on top of the Osmosis, DApp chain, and then to be able to leverage. I say that as a pun, to leverage their liquidity,
Hmm.
and to be able to just really focus on building out the best experience for perpetual swaps. And I think I agree with the statement that you said before, which is that vast majority of derivatives and even leverage in the industry is done in a very unhealthy way, and
Hmm.
creates unnecessary risks for the entire ecosystem that are cornered around asymmetric knowledge, where certain people have knowledge that the general public doesn't or can't. And I think that if we just go back to look at kind of everything that happened with FTX and
Hmm.
with Three Arrow Capital, so much of that was these blowups happened because of leverage that was generated. It was like, oh, the FTX token was then used as collateral, but it was only valuable because it had, there was a lot of like, circular value creation or proposition of value. That kind of fell apart because it was built on a house of cards. And that really is because it was impossible. There were so many black boxes that it was impossible for anybody to get the whole picture.
Hmm.
And that's what's exciting to build Levana. Is it's largely inspired by GMX, which is
Hmm.
I think one of the most innovative perpetual applications in the market. It has a few bells and whistles on top of GMX to improve it in how fees are managed and safety mechanisms. But in general, the the goal is to create a general purpose protocol that allows for the creation of leverage of any asset, um, in order and to do it with a completely on chain and with complete transparency. So every position can see how it's collateralized. Every LP can see what trades were open and closed. And GMX, Dave Kreider, is a popular perpetual swap platform that is on Arbitrum and Avalanche. So
Hmm.
they are actually the most they're the highest revenue generating perpetual swap in the entire crypto ecosystem. So if you're not familiar with them, you definitely should take a look.
Yeah, like I wanted to look because I was checking actually, and this is really impressive. I have few questions I want to ask you. So GMX is generating over $300,000 in the fees. Um, I'm not sure if we should start with that, because I want to get to fees, because I think fees are so important. And here The platform is on the low fees network, but it's generating really substantial revenues. So, what I want to ask you, how is it exactly going to work that you will be using osmosis liquidity? Because I've been reading blogs, but I want you to explain this in really simple way. So, osmosis has the liquidity, and of course, to do any type of leverage, you need big liquidity to make sure the slippage is not really that big. And there is only one choice, that is osmosis here. um, Osmosis has swap fees of 0.3%, which I believe cannot be used in this case, right? Like, because
No.
that would be completely. So how you going to take that liquidity? How it's going to work between two teams? And
So
what will be the fees there? Like, is like how you work out with the fees there?
so the so I can talk to you about. Let's just focus on how it works in terms of
Hmm.
launch, and then because it's going to be an iterative process, and Levana has plans to deploy on many different chains.
Hmm.
I'd like to see a version on Psi and on Kajira and on
Hmm.
Juno. And I don't and on many. One of the things that attracts me about Cosmos is um, how many different groups of entrepreneurs can build unique products that then
Hmm.
are expandable, and all of them need some type of derivative. Like every time that there is, like um, a if you build a perpetual swap that's like plug and play to just plop on top of a new app chain that launches, so
Hmm.
then eventually every single app chain is just going to have Levana installed on their app chain. And then at that point, there probably will be a hub, and then general fees, or the fees that are shared to the Levana DAO will go to some dedicated hub, and then there will be stakers to that hub. But that's kind of down the line. So
Hmm.
just looking at it, how it works today is some of the liquidity, like for example, let's say Atom. So right now, I'm going to pull it up on app.osmosis.zone, and I go to pools. Um, so right now um, there's $63 million of liquidity in the Atom Osmo pool.
Hmm.
Okay, and that is trading about $2.3 million in the last 24 hours. So that means that if we're looking um, at the actual amount of atom that's located there, it's about 30 million atom. So people are trading in and out, and you can think of, to some extent, like Osmo is the default stable coin, or like algorithmic stable coin of Cosmos. I know you've got a lot to say about that, so happy to open up that can of worms. But the that $30 million, which is now generating $2 million of trading, it's not particularly capital efficient.
Hmm.
That you have to lock up $30 million, and you get $2 million of trading from it.
Hmm.
So imagine that of that $30 million, 10 of it is removed from that pool. Even 5 of it is removed from that pool, and then now is put into a Levana single-sided leverage trading liquidity pool.
Hmm.
So, what are the benefits? One is that there's no impermanent loss. So, meaning Atom goes up and down, the LPs are just exposed to the price of Atom. Okay. Two is by being a liquidity provider, you're not necessarily just betting on the house. The platform itself is designed to be market delta neutral, meaning that there's encouragement for longs and shorts to balance each other,
Hmm.
so that the LPs are just kind of greasing the gears, and they're not in a irrational environment. Um, the LPs are not taking on the counterparty risk.
Hmm.
And then three is that with leverage, with perpetuals, you're actually borrowing assets. So let's walk through the money, and then we'll see from there how the fee structure works.
Hmm.
So imagine I come and I have one atom, and I say, you know what, I want to be exposed to, I want to go 10x long atom, and And I have no idea what the price of any asset is going to be. I have no crystal ball.
Yeah.
Um,
Someone asking.
and so sorry about that. But so imagine I have one atom and I want to go long 10x or 30x or whatever it is. So I'll deposit my one atom in, excuse me, to collateralize my position, and then I'll actually borrow 9 atoms from the LPs.
Mhm.
So now I have my one, and then I borrowed 9. So now, if the price of atom goes up, so okay, I benefit from the 10x exposure. If the price goes down against me, then I actually get wiped out, and so I'll lose my one. So I have really now an asymmetric reward. Is that with my just $14, if I had strong conviction, so then or maybe it's $12 today. I try not to look at the price every day. It drives me nuts. Um, but with that, if I have strong conviction, so then at most I can put to risk my collateral, and even less if you take a stop loss, or you stop yourself out automatically. Um, and on the upside, it really can just my upside can be far greater than if I was spot trading, where I'm really not limited. With spot trading, you're limited by your capital. With
Mhm.
leverage trading, you're limited by your conviction. And
Mhm.
that's the fundamental difference. And then as the just to end with the fee structure, is that with perpetuals, you pay a fee to borrow those other 9 atom every hour. And so you as the LP that put those 9 atom up, you're getting a fee consistently. So it's not even about how often people are trading. It's just about how many positions are open.
Mhm.
And so you have no impermanent loss. You have a steady income of fees. And then obviously you can farm Levana, the platform, by locking up your LP tokens for, we're defaulting with, it'll be a 3-month lockup. And then you'll earn tokens from the Levana protocol itself, like the governance token.
Can I ask you, because when I use DYDX, for example, all of the money is denominated in USDC, I believe, right?
Yep.
You were mentioning like you were mentioning I can trade in atoms, that,
Yeah.
or
So
it will
great
be
point.
denominated in USDC, because I wonder if there is any dangers if it's not denominated in USDC, because then you have also these tokens that you playing with fluctuating. And yeah. Oh, okay.
So I'll show you here. This is what Levana looks like. This is in beta. You can actually go to beta.levana.exchange
Mhm.
and play with this. The faucet is a little bit hidden. It's right here next to your wallet. You'll have to do a captcha of panda bears having a picnic or something like that. But so everything's priced in dollars, but it doesn't actually use stable coins.
Right.
And I think they're working on this right now. So it might have, it probably will have some bugs in the meantime. Um, but
I
the,
like how it looks. Sorry, it's clean. It's simple. It's not very
thank you.
confusing. I
Yes.
do really like it. Can I already trade there?
Yes, it won't be with real. It'll be just testnet funds,
Right, right. So.
and this is on the fork of the testnet, the osmosis testnet.
Mhm.
So let's walk through what a trade looks like. And so you'll come here, and I'll just go, to beta.levana.exchange. Um, you'll connect your wallet. It might add it. We just support Kepler right now, but we
Mhm.
want to support other wallets over time. And then you'll end up, I'm not going to play with it right now, but you can play with it on your own. You can pick a market order or a limit order. A limit order means that your price won't go live until the price is hit. Market order means that it'll go live immediately. The collateral, you'll put in the amount of atom, but you can you can view it in terms of dollar amount. Like I want to put $100 worth of
Can
atom
I
in.
stop you here?
Yep.
This collateral I really like because I don't want to sweet talk, but like because I don't know if the Levana platform will be nice. But can you scroll up so I can actually see it? This collateral, because on DYDX when I deposit funds, I don't think I can choose the portion to trade with it, or I don't know what I'm doing there. But it appears I using like full power that I have. Like when I deposit, it just shows me, like let's say I deposit $500, I have up to $10,000 buying power, and I just play with the leverage. But what I'd like to do to actually allocate maybe 20% of these funds and then 20x leverage, right? So like
Yep.
it's really really nice that I can don't have to do max with my funds.
Exactly. And right now, so in terms of building, well, we'll just walk through. So you pick out the amount of collateral you want to put in. You pick out your leverage. Where it's unclear, different markets will have different leverage amounts because just for safety concerns, you'll put in your stop loss price. Meaning, I could say here, I want that if the atom drops down to $12.20, automatically close my position because I don't want to get wiped out. So you can put in your stop loss. Max gains is close my position if if I hit 10x, close my position if I hit 37x, or just keep my position always open. And so the lower your max gains, the less fees that you pay. And then you'll open an order, and it'll either be in your open positions or your pending positions. Now we finished the last sprint before audit, and right now we're just stress testing it. So we are rebooting this a few times throughout the week, and sometimes we're just DDoSing it. So you might find some wonkiness as we're doing the prep work for getting ready for audits. Like right now, I see we were the one of the keepers is rebooting. So I'm not going to play with it. But if you come back to it, you should be able to walk through both the trading section and the earn section. Yeah, I see we've got to reboot this. And you can play with your history, and you can kind of get a feel for everything that will happen when you're actually trading here. And we will go to audit on, God willing, March 6th. And then the goal is to launch the product on mainnet by the beginning of June. And we will have some trading competitions, which you can sign up for, trading competition with prizes. So you can click to be notified about that. And we'll be doing some type of like a soft launch for bug bounties and various things like that, before the mainnet launch.
I want to answer to Dave. Yes, you can short. You can see it. You can long or short, and it's actually well presented on the website. Short, going down. Someone is asking what coins can be used as collateral on the atoms or any.
Yes. So for each market, that market will have collateral in that same notional market. So the Bitcoin market will be the collateral will be wrapped Bitcoin. The wrapped ETH market will be wrapped ETH. The Juno market will be Juno, etc. So we have got a great question from Vincent. Perps are a cornerstone of efficient markets. What's missing is transparent funding rate models and funding rate history data available at a click. So we will. Oh, you got to meet Satoshi. We were talking earlier. I couldn't find her. So this is Satoshi, my cat.
Yeah, I was sleeping, so I'm not gonna.
Oh yes, I
On
won't
my
wake
lap.
up your cat. Yeah.
I'm not gonna wake.
So the historical funding rate is not something that is displayed in the UI. It will be accessible via an API, but if that's something that is important, then I can bring that up to product It's not something that that is a big lift because it's recorded. No, my cat already has a name. Her name is Satoshi Katamoto, and it's the best name for a cat ever.
Mhm.
Um, and so funding rates is something that that could be added on the display dashboard. And then in terms of the funding rate model is something that we can release in the documentation as to how that's calculated, because we have in the we have in the white paper all the math behind it. So yes, funding rate history. What we do have is delta neutrality history. So instead of just not looking at the funding rate, you can actually look at the balances between longs and shorts from a perspective of delta neutrality, and we have that as an existing graph. The difference with funding rate is that it's not just a pendulum that kind of swings side to side, because you could be paying out let's say 1/4% an hour on the longs, but then you're receiving 3% an hour on the shorts, just because of the mismatch. So I'd have to think about the best way to visualize that. Vincent, if you have found another perp trading platform that you think does a really good job of visually displaying the funding rate history in a chart or in a set of charts, please drop a DM to Levana_protocol um, on Twitter, and send us a link there. So then that way we can look. Here's Levana protocol. So just send us a DM. We'll take a look at that and we'll work to get that into the product. And if you haven't seen our massive thread on the year, it's pinned to the top. It is, it's massive. It's got over 40,000 views. It goes through everything that you'd want to know about Levana. It's got a year-end summary, our progress, comparison to GMX, NFTs and perps, the other projects that we worked on, and our path to launch. It's 75 tweets. There's also a video summary of it. So feel free to take a look there if you get a chance.
I just shared it. I have few questions regarding, because you said the fees are paid depending of how long position is open, right? It's every
Well,
hour.
there's a few different fees, and I can get there's
Just wanted
actually.
to ask. So does it mean it should encourage traders to close their position faster?
Well, it depends. If you're making more money from your position being open than you are from closing it,
Mhm,
then you will close it. It is, and keep in mind, closing it doesn't mean you sell to stablecoins. Closing
mhm,
means that you reduce your leverage down to 1.
mhm.
So it's not like on an AMM. And here's the beautiful artwork that you were referring
Yeah.
to. Oh, and there's even you. You're tagged in this post here. But we have a section here that gets into details of fees and comparing estimated fees with other structures. It's around the 28 tab mark, and we have expected funding rates. And then we have a blog post also, which I'm not going to find here. Oh, and we get into Stride's liquid staking tokens. You and I mentioned that earlier in the conversation. So yeah, highly recommend coming and checking out this thread.
Um, I want to know. So, of course, because you borrow the funds from LP on Osmosis, right? So, is the fee share, you share the fee with Osmosis then?
No. So the application will be built on top of Osmosis, and you won't need to use IBC in order to access. Um, but the assets primarily will be purchased through Osmosis. So the way that people will bring liquidity into our platform, or when you open eventually when we add, we'd love to add the actual Osmosis swap
Mhm,
as a part of our own UI.
mhm,
So imagine that I come into a market, I just have Axelar USDC. I want to enter into a Bitcoin long position. So what's actually happening in the background is I'm using Osmosis to trade my USDC for Bitcoin, and then I'm depositing that Bitcoin as collateral. So it's on the opening of the position and then the closing of the position via the AMM. Once the AMM is integrated, it's not going to be integrated when we first launch. So then that's when Osmosis will collect fees. But on the time that the position is open with leverage, those fees will be paid directly to the LP, and then also to the Levana DAO. So that will not be that will not be directly going to Osmosis as a protocol.
Right. I guess this is important. I was thinking, because like I didn't think deeply enough if that could affect the osmosis liquidity, because you mentioned, I had a lot of to say that all the liquidity is bonded to the Osmo tokens, which would be additional danger, right? Because if like it would be actually responsible for move of all platform, right? If you short Osmo token, then like actually whole platform is going down because it's all bonded to the same liquidity. That's not how it's going to be, right?
No, so we actually won't support leverage trading of Osmo. We There's a lot more modeling and risk assessment, just given the daily trading volume and and the exactly for a lot of the things that you mentioned there is that we saw that Mango Markets had leverage trading of the Mango token, and that ended up being a big part of their downfall. So the so I will answer your question, Vincent, in a second. And so it is very important to be conservative about which assets are listed and to what extent leverage is available, especially in the short direction, because God forbid you want to create a scenario where somebody can profit through a malicious reduction of the price of a crypto asset, especially such a critical crypto asset such as the Osmo token.
Yeah, the Vincent Gallo question. Sorry for.
Yes. So we are working. Osmosis has a per block spot and TWAP price oracle for all of their pairs, and Peth or Pyth, I don't know, created from Jump, has a similar mechanism which is deployed currently on Osmosis testnet, and they will come around to mainnet, in a similar time frame as to when we are. And so So how do you prevent Oracle manipulation? Is you have multiple Oracle feeds. I think it was there was another one that we've spoken to at length, which I believe is I met them in Lisbon.
I think
That is looking at.
Umi is working for their own oracles as well. We have some
Yes,
products.
and Switchboard is also interested in adding support for Osmosis. So the goal is to have multiple data feeds, and then to identify irregularities in the deltas or sudden changes or spikes of those price feeds, especially ones that are inconsistent between different like minority reports, so to speak. And then I think right now we're on testnet. We're working with their CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, and then also there's a feed that's produced for Atom, and a lot of the other Cosmos tokens on Binance. And you can think what you will of you working with a feed from a centralized service like Binance. I know my own thoughts about it, which I'll keep to myself. But I think that safety is a big concern here.
Cosmos protocols do not generate revenues. In fact, I believe the most fee generating protocol in Cosmos is actually Osmosis, with the daily average of around $10,000. So that would be 3.6 million a year, which is nothing, right? There is no revenues. But when I look at the GMX, this is protocol with market cap of $600 million, and it seems GMX at the current rate would generate over $150 million in the revenues. So I wonder, is Levana going to start printing fees in the Cosmos ecosystem as the first app that is deployed within that ecosystem?
There is nothing that I have found that produces fees for LPs like perpetual swaps. It's just, there's no second place. Like, our second place is like so much farther, like GMX lapped everybody else. And it's not that GMX has any magic crystal ball. It's how the mechanism works. And if you go to Wall Street and you look at the derivative markets, it's the exact same thing. They're just like the value that they're providing. If you want a one click, like look at what people are doing, with Mars, which I think is great. And I'm personally doing it, is that I am looping in order to generate leverage. And that is expensive because you pay fees to do that. But the fees are subsidized and the leverage is good. And so it all works out. But to be able to, and that's just one specific use case of Mars. But the general, being able to like click a button and then have a fully collateralized 20x long position is worth paying a few percentage. And that's just what keeps the spice flowing. So I am optimistic that that this is a protocol which can be governed by a community, which can be decentralized, and can have a wide variety of LPs that provide liquidity to it, and then create a sustainable crypto economic network. And that's actually, I was invited in 2020 to give a lecture for Masari, which was called Sustainable Crypto Networks. So it's available on YouTube. You can watch it, and it kind of shows I guess, like, what I think is the requirement for the success of any DAO or any crypto ecosystem is that you need to create sustainability. If you're not doing something that creates sustainability, then you're either just running a party funded by VCs or by the public market that's just going to crash and burn when the music stops, or you're doing some type of like a Ponzi. But at the end of the day, if it's not if it's not fee generation, in order to create real incentives for a moat around liquidity, and to cover the costs of software development and marketing and all the other things like that, then you probably have a poor business model, and you might want to think of doing something else.
Yeah, I'm very glad you talk about this. But before that, is Levana going to be its own chain? Because I saw in that testnet that you showed that was Levana address.
Yes, it was. That was our test net, which we had some contract size issues with Osmosis. So Osmosis wouldn't let you publish one contract more than 800 kilobytes. Whereas like the default in CosmWasm is like 2 megabytes. So when we had originally built it on Juno, I don't think that we had that limitation. And then when we migrated it over from the Juno testnet to the Osmosis testnet, so we hit this wall of contract size. And so we just forked the Osmosis testnet and then changed some of the config parameters. And then issued a pull request back to Osmosis, and we're waiting for them to merge that in. So for right now, yes, it is. You're technically on a fork of Osmosis testnet, not like the real Osmosis testnet.
But you don't plan to be app chain, right? You're gonna be the app
We
with
so I think that
or
the hub and spoke model of having one central place where voting happens, where
Mhm,
emissions and rewards happen, and where the DAO treasury lives,
mhm,
that makes a lot of sense. And then you have all these different spokes that kind of go out, and each of them is an instance of Levana on Psi Network, Chronos,
mhm.
Evmos, Juno,
Yeah.
Stars,
So why
Stargaze,
I'm asking, because there
Osmosis.
might be fees generated, right? And
Yep.
will you have the token?
Yes, there will be a token.
So I wonder,
There will
like, where the about the distribution of the fees, right? Like, is it going to the distributed between the token holders, stakers, or whatever? It's going to be distributed to treasury. It's going to be
the
used for.
general rule. Well, okay, so it is. Um, it's there will be a DAO, and that DAO will be controlled by the token holders, and those and the fees that are generated from the system, the DAO will be able to vote on how those fees are best used to promote the healthy future of the system.
Mhm,
So that will be up to the community to decide what happens with the fees that are generated. Now, in terms of the let's say the rev share, so to speak,
mhm.
between fees going back to LPs or fees going to the DAO, it's roughly a 30-70 split, meaning that 70 goes back to the LPs and 30 goes back to the DAO, with a few caveats. For that were needed for extra incentivization for various market participants.
I understand. And then the DAO can, for example, decide, hey, we want to buy off our token of the market. So with that, increase the value for potential holders, something that the traditional companies quite often do, right? For example
I mean,
of the or
that would be one
distribute.
example. There's a
Mhm, yeah,
million, yeah, a million
yeah.
different things, and I don't pretend to know what will be the best decision that the community will make then,
Mhm,
or when they'll make those decisions. Um, but but I know that people will act as rational actors, and we're trying to inspire a strong community of like-minded people with a long-term time preference that want to build something sustainable, and so hopefully they'll make decisions that reflect creating sustainability.
mhm. Um, I'm glad you were mentioning the fees, right? Because I think people are often hooked up on the fact that we in Cosmos ecosystem have very low fees. Ethereum is bad because has high fees. Yet developers who deploy on Ethereum can monetize their product very well because it generates the fees. What it makes people want to build because it's generating the fees, right? And
Well,
in
but
Cosmos,
you can't mix fees. There's protocol fees,
Mhm,
which is I'm paying to use a piece of software, and then there's infrastructure fees, like paying the gas fee to get your request put into a block on Ethereum itself. If I'm
mhm,
using MakerDAO, MakerDAO doesn't get that $15 that I paid to the Ethereum miners.
yeah.
MakerDAO just gets the fees, based on the borrow rate of DAI.
Mhm. Um, yeah, get that. But in Cosmos we still don't have this, like this barely generating, even protocols app doesn't generate. And we ended up, for example, in there is this bet that, for example, Cosmos hub will be valuable, but I have like a lot of questions. Sorry for changing, but because you build within the Cosmos ecosystem, I would like to know your opinion. Cosmos hub market cap is 3.6 billion. At the same time, it is issuing at current price over $400 million worth of tokens, while I don't think it generates $1,000 in fees daily. Maybe it does. Um, I wonder, like, how sustainable is that, and can Cosmos scale itself to actually generate the fees for the stakeholders so it can start abandoning this issuance of the tokens?
So I think that I I really don't want to offend anybody, and I mean this only from a point of love. But Atom, in its current state, is a meme. It is not Cosmos. It's Cosmos is the SDK and is IBC. and
Mhm.
and Adam is from like a mimetic perspective, like a meme perspective, is what ties the community together. We are all exposed to Adam. I'm very exposed to Adam, and
Mhm.
without trying to give any type of financial advice, I'd say that I'm even optimistic about the fact that I'm exposed to Adam. But I recognize that it's not based around any concept of sustainability. And it is
Mhm.
a high issuance token. And it is really riding on the coattails of the success of IBC and the and Tendermint and the Cosmos SDK. Now, with interchain security, with some other improved bells and whistles, like let's say, interchain accounts, message passing between EVM environments, all of the things that are kind of on the roadmap. I think that there is a path to um, to at the end of the day, what does Adam need to do? Adam needs to provide a service that other profitable systems, because it's a B2B product. Adam is at the end of the day a B2B product. Like it's, we're not, I'm not paying in Adam to run any software like I am with ETH. I pay ETH in order to use MakerDAO. I pay
Mhm.
ETH in order to use Uniswap. So it's a payment token, which makes a lot of sense. Adam is a different mental model where it's a B2B product where the customer of the Atom token, let me just close the door. Somebody's drilling here. Where the customer of the Atom token is really another app chain. So it's got to provide a service to another, presumably business. And by business, I just mean as a moniker, a euphemism for, another protocol or other app chain or whatever it is. So I think that the first attempt will be interchain security, where you'll be able to rent essentially the market cap and the validator set of Atom in order to be able to launch your own network, and secure that network and provide security, the technical security, economic security, of a multi billion-dollar market cap, even as you just launch a new chain.
Mhm.
Uh, eh, I think we'll have to see how much revenue that actually generates, um, and at some point, it it is its innovation is going to have to kick in, and I believe in the they say it's there's tragedy of the commons. I think the opposite of tragedy of the commons is, is I would say is like the comedy of the commons is that if you have enough people motivated to solve a problem, and I think that this was part of how Israeli culture developed is if everybody knows that there's an existential threat that needs to be solved, it's amazing how innovation just kind of springs up in order to just solve those problems. So I think that the first step up to bat, to use a baseball analogy, is going to be for the interchain security and renting out the security. And we'll see what type of revenue that gets and how close that gets us to economic sustainability. And then if that doesn't, cross the line, which I doubt it will cross the line, at least at these issuance rates. But if it doesn't cross the line, then I'm at least optimistic that enough people are motivated to solve the problem that innovation will occur.
Mhm. Yeah, I want to ask you. So I want to play the dark scenario. I saw some of the consumer chain Stride, which I really like Stride because I think derivatives are so important. To be honest, maybe if not airdrop, the airdrops, there is like no reason to use non-derivatives. I mean, there are risks, but like I think we will end up with all crypto being derivatives at some point, maybe. But anyway, so Stride might, I think, will be consumer chain. There is talked about Comdex being it. These are very small protocols, right? So I validate Stride. I think I'm number 22 or something like this, sizable amount. The revenue I generate on Stride is few dollars. If Stride is going to pay similar for a renting security, I can't imagine Comdex paying a lot. People will pay sometimes, some people few $100s for additional node while generating few dollars in revenue unless this blockchains will boom suddenly. So
You mean
if
the
we have,
price of the token will grow in a short period of time?
yeah, so if we gonna deploy those new chains into interchain security while the costs will be rising so much, the revenues will be not covering those costs. What's then? Are we screwed or there is solution to this problem?
It's a it's I guess we have to look at what the success rate is of an early stage vehicle in general. I've read something. It's like one in, it's once a company hits the A round, which pretty much any crypto company that you've ever heard of, just by definition of the fact that you've heard of them, has done the equivalent of like hitting the A round, which means that they reached a uh, above a $5 million market cap, or private valuation. They have some type of outside capital. They have a dedicated team that's building on them, and that it's roughly 1 in 200, let's say 250 of those that will be successful.
Mhm.
But then the ones that are successful become very successful, and then that's where you get the Netflix, Facebooks, TikToks, and stuff of the world. So I think that we're probably going to look at very similar success to failure rates. A VC tries to get 1 out of 10 investments to make back the portfolio, and then the other couple that are successful, like that's their profits margin. Um, so I think what we'll end up finding in terms of who can actually afford to pay for interchain security, a lot of it will be subsidized through speculative investment initially, and then like what uh, like 1 out of 200 of those, like 99, 199 out of 200 of those will go bust at some point in the next 1 to 2 market cycles, which market cycles seem to be getting a little bit shorter. Um, and and it so it could be that you have to like over the course of like 6 to 9 years.
Mhm.
So over that time period, we're probably going to see a handful that are paying 80% of the total fees, and then a few hundred that are kind of surviving on fumes, you know, paying the other
Mhm.
20%. That's
Mhm.
just that's just looking at it just purely from a VC lens.
Yeah. Sorry, I will jump back and ask you about the token distribution because someone was asking about some airdrop. Do you already planned how as token? Because I believe that might be already planned for Levana how the tokens will be distributed. Or could you share on that?
Yep, absolutely. So these numbers are not set in stone,
Mhm.
and they're still being worked on and reviewed, and different models, and simulations occurring. But the total, there's a billion Levana tokens, um, and it is a fixed supply. The the total issuance of having them all be unlocked is roughly over the course of 3 years. Not that they'll all be, consumed or distributed or whatnot. during that time period, but that's how the lockup period is. And the initial liquidity is going to be about 4% of the total token issuance. So that's like, let's say day one will be available.
Mhm.
So that's about 40 million tokens. Again, it could fluctuate. It could be 45, it could be 50 million. And it's about a quarter of those tokens are going to go to a little over a quarter of those tokens are going to go to airdrops. So they'll be distributed to Levana's historical GameFi participants, people that played all of the NFT games and things like that, um, upgraded their eggs and, will be hatching dragons and things like that. If you don't know what that means, that's fine. You weren't here for that. And then the other 3/4 will go to farming rewards. So a part of the airdrop is gonna go to long time preference Cosmos wallets. And that's kind of just like mostly like a teaser or a taste. So meaning we've been working with an organization called Flipside Crypto, which is a data analysis group, and so they're kind of they're scanning wallets within the Osmosis ecosystem, and then just the general Cosmos ecosystem, to look for who are the wallets that tend to keep airdrop tokens or tend to use airdrop tokens to provide liquidity, who tend to actually use the protocols that people that they received airdrops on. And so they're going to create like a weighted list. And then that's, there will be, I think, roughly 1.5 million Levana tokens that will be airdropped to that broader audience.
Um, I want to ask something, because I read your blog, and there is the part about implementing maybe NFTs or something like this. So I really like the DYDX model, how they do the distribution of the tokens, for example. So they distribute it monthly, I believe, based on the how much people use the platform. So I guess maybe how much in fees is paid. So I wonder, have you thought about similar model, maybe incentivizing the loyal users and traders of your platform, and that those who actually pay a lot of fees and trade a lot are also benefitors of the token, maybe, or you didn't consider that? But
Yes,
also I saw you.
absolutely.
Mhm.
100% consider that. There is a token distribution mechanism based on usage of the platform, and it'll be usage of the platform from both ends. So,
Mhm.
meaning if you are a liquidity provider, so then you will receive farming rewards, and if you are a trader, you will also receive trading rewards. The exact distribution, whether it happens at the end of the month, whether it's on a weekly basis, whether it's streamed out on a per trade basis, those details are still being worked on.
Mhm. And you mentioned you might implement the NFT. So, for example, right? So, what I understand, if someone holds the Levana NFT, for example, they might have the special perks, like maybe lower fees, maybe no fee trading in the certain time spots, right? So, wonder, like,
Yeah,
something
so
about that.
we've done a lot of interviews of users of GMX and DYDX, and things like reduced fees, access to early access to new markets, both in terms of liquidity providing or trading, um, being able to um, being able to access higher leverage, because some leverages, it just is nonsensical to offer to a general market, because once the utilization cap hits, so then that's it. There's no more leverage that you can safely offer. So giving various priority treatment to NFT holders, having the ability that NFT holders could, there's certain things even that, like, we've been looking at that aren't even necessarily need to be built into Levana itself, but like a lending market between NFTs. Like if NFTs have premium membership, or they're responsible for premium membership, and it wouldn't be all of the Levana NFTs, because there's been like, we built games, and the games
Mhm.
had like 100,000 NFTs. So like, if you've got like your Palm Pilot, or your Medal of Honor and stuff, that's not going to be
Mhm.
integrated into the platform. But the dragons, which I raise baby birds, or parrots, and as you put on the advertisement for this podcast. So I really like, personally, I'm a big fan of the baby dragons. So I see the baby dragons, having various different benefits or perks or premium membership within the platform. It's not going to be a launch product. We've got to make sure, again, it's that we've got to focus on making a core sustainable product. Like, who
Mhm.
cares if you have a a premium membership to something that is going to fall apart in 6 months? So
Mhm.
having something that's rock solid, that's the main first goal. But assuming that we can achieve that, so then adding these premium memberships, I think is a really great way to encourage engagement.
Mhm. Um, may I know which trading pairs you consider, like not trading pairs, sorry,
Which markets?
which markets you would launch at the start or close to the start? I understand that would be Atom. Was
Yeah,
the
Atom will be the first one, and then we're probably looking at BTC, and then ETH. Um, then assuming that it crosses all of our requirements from a safety perspective, so then Osmo. And then we really want to just go down the list of what the community is interested in. So it could be Soul, it could be Kuji, it could be Stars, it could be Juno, um, and then we also want to start deploying on other platforms. I think that having Levana on Juno would be a big value add for the Juno community, and I think that there's fees to be generated there, and it could be a very mutually beneficial agreement uh, um, relationship. And then, as said, the Sign network is very interesting, and there's a few others that I think, when you look at the just general IBC market, um, would be would be great. And in terms of Polkadot, um, maybe, if I don't know if where there's a good place to build on Polkadot. We're built on Cosmwasm. I don't know if there's a parachain that supports Cosmwasm. Um, I, as an investor, I passed on Polkadot and on Kusama, but I know a lot of people in the ecosystem. And I know, like, the Moon, what do they call Moonbeam guys? And
Mhm.
so there's potential there, but I think that yeah, Astar Network. So if you know anybody from Astar, love
from
to, yeah,
from
love to
what
have
I
a one.
know, Composable is building their own Cosmos virtual machine. But I think Composable also face some issues themselves. But Composable is on Polkadot, and it will be Cosmos. It
Yeah,
will be Parachain. So I think, like, once they launch, there is probably possibility. If this market is interesting. You restructured your team, right? Because the bear market came,
or
and it requires the cutting the headcount. And
yeah, we were at 50 people a year ago in
Mhm.
February. Um, we had a big gaming department. Um, we had a big design department. Um, we were the cost of operations was really high. Everybody, it was the middle of a bull market, um, and like the just but yeah, I mean, everything related to crypto was super expensive then. Since then, I mean, it really started with Terra. A lot of people just left or were downsized when Terra happened. Then, I think FTX was like really the nail on the head that really,
Mhm.
hurt the most for Levana. Now we have 8 full-time people, um, and like another 8 part-time people, of various degrees, like contractors, um,
Mhm.
that nature. Um, but it's been a very painful process. I don't think there's any other way to describe it than that. Like, there's a
Mhm.
lot of really like people that I really respected and continue to respect. Um, and I wish that I was working with them, and I wish that they were still back with the project. Um, but it's just not a good time for them to either be involved in crypto or just to have the stress,
Mhm.
associated with this. Like, personally, I got wrecked. Like, I lost, you know, more. I lost I lost a lot. I don't know, I lost a lot. Um, and so, but I don't, but there's the thing is that there's nowhere to go. There really is nowhere to go. This is the only industry that is interesting and exciting, and where I believe that we can really do things today that have a massive impact on the world that our children live in, like on a global scale.
Mhm.
Like, I'm not going to go invent some cancer drugs or something like that. That's not my skill set. So, like, in the
Mhm.
world of product design and computer engineering, it's like being able to build and help promote composable open source finance that is global, and fulfills the mission that I believe was set out through the creation of Bitcoin. Um, I think that's what I want to focus my life on. And so
Mhm.
that's why I'm here, even if it might be financially crazy to stick around.
Yeah, I'm weirdly lucky. I would get wrecked, then I would go crazy on some NFTs, and I would be GMI again. I'm in this very weird swing all the time, which is I think I'm quite fortunate compared to many. But I was asking about this cutting headcount. Not sure if you are engaged in the Cosmos governance, and so some of the funding proposals of the
A little bit. I know, I've watched your video. I wasn't sure if you're going to ask me to take my shirt off, to be honest.
um,
Um, you know,
I
uh,
think Jacob is the special one, but it was him who wanted to do it, not me. I wouldn't encourage the guests for that.
okay. Yeah, that's very amicable of you. Um, but so I like to give people the benefit of the doubts. I know that, like, your uh I guess your persona, and the thing that really attracts me to your content is like the bluntness and the cynicism, um, and I really enjoy hearing the things that you have to say. But on a personal level, as just like from teams very easily can have poor budgetary managements,
Mhm.
um, through no malice, no form of malice. So I've heard you in the past criticize some of the marketing budgets from Osmosis. Totally appreciate that, but at the same time, I know what it feels like to spend $1 million in marketing and then look back and be like, what did we get out of that $1 million in marketing? I can't even like tell you. And
Yeah.
it happens, and it sucks that it happens. But it's not everything that you do, especially in early stage, high risk industries like we work in. Most of the time that you try something, it fails. Most of the time that you try something, it costs a lot more.
Mhm.
So I, you know, I look at the amount of budget, hundreds of thousands of dollars going to arguably amateur videos being
Mhm.
created. Um, and what I say is that I hope that what the community is investing in is an educational path that in 3 months or 6 months, the quality of those videos is going to be much, much better.
Mhm.
It could be that that's just naivety, it could be that it's just like hopeless optimism, but
Mhm.
I don't want to throw stones because I've definitely spent way too much money on stuff that was just like embarrassingly ineffective in the past.
I think the same with Web 2 companies. Like I never worked in like in the web space or in the startup space, to be honest. So I don't really have the experience how the money is getting wasted. Uh, but you can see how in this world, like a lot of money is being truly wrongly placed that you could be used maybe more efficiently, which asks the question, how efficient are we, right?
Yeah, it's very hard. Also, there's always a challenge between quickly and efficiently.
Mhm,
It's like you can get something today, or a deal close today that might cost three times the amount if we
mhm,
were to negotiate on it or to find somebody else or to find competition and to do it 2 months from now. but
mhm,
but sometimes when there's pressing needs, and a lot of times in the public we don't see the conversations that are happening behind closed doors, um, you end up, which is a whole other conversation, but you end up doing what's expensive and fast instead of
mhm,
what's probably more arguably correct and fiscal and higher quality, but would take a lot more work to arrive at that point.
mhm,
And I don't know where the balance lies, and it really stinks to watch quality people underfunded and low quality people overfunded.
mhm.
um, but I don't have a good, I've been building startups for since 2007, so however many years that has been.
Mhm.
That's when I started my first company.
Yeah.
Um, and so I have not seen a really good solution to the solve problems by pouring money on them
Mhm.
issue when the money is there.
Mhm. We started with this, but like maybe we can also end with this. Like we were talking about US and the other places like Hong Kong and Middle East kind of embracing crypto, and it does seem like US is trying to stop it. But I wonder, my feeling is I don't think they want to stop it, because I don't think United States is stupid, and I'm pretty sure they want to be on the forefront of the innovation. The same was with the internet. It was US who was on the forefront of the internet um, innovation and transformation. So do you think the US can be on the forefront, or essentially with those regulations they try to push? There is small likelihood of that.
So I think that the US has a clear crypto agenda. And I think that it is to create a crypto walled garden, like an app store. Like
Hmm.
I want to share with you. So I wrote an article in 2019, so about 4 years ago, called Facebook Libra versus the Open World, A Tale of Two Networks. And I kind of compared um, Libra, which you can call Libra by many names. It might just be, the Coinbase, base network.
Hmm.
Today is very similar. And there's probably people here that don't even remember Libra. Like I met the Libra team when they came to Israel, um, and uh, and I see it. And you might not even recognize this. This is an American online disc that was just sent in the mail to every American. 200 and it was like 150 million households got like this and this was the first time that we went on to to the internet. And there was this like discrepancy between the future of the internet, whether the internet would be something that was like homogenous, that was like this walled garden that you went in, it only had like one on ramp, one off ramp, and everything that happened like within this very like a sterile garden. And if I wanted to build like an app or a custom experience, I had to build it on top of American Online. Um, and that internet kind of like it died, and it was destroyed by the World Wide Web as we have today. That
Mhm.
it's an open source standard. Everybody can just build whatever that they want, um, and um, and and what I um, what I see is kind of that same play is that America doesn't want to kill crypto. They just want to make sure that DeFi or NFTs or all of this really happens within their box. And
Mhm.
so I think what will end up happening is we'll end up happening two worlds of crypto. We'll have the America, which probably will be inherited by Europe or maybe at least the
Mhm.
UK. Um, and that will be, let's call it like the kosher crypto. Um, and then there will be the broader um, there will be the broader world of crypto, which will be the Wild West, and that will be permissionless open source, and we'll have these. Now, to answer crypto's chain,
Mhm.
best way to get in touch with Levana is to um, DM the Twitter handle. If you want to chat with me, you can just DM me, and my name is Madcaps Laugh on Twitter. So just
Mhm.
DM me. And then Vincent, you asked where the Discord server was. So Discord was closed at the end of last year. We just didn't have enough head count to support it. It will be opened up again with more of a focus on trading and on perpetuals and less on GameFi. Um, and that's supposed to open once the trading competition happens. So we're thinking like the end of March, beginning of April, something like that. But the Telegram is open, and our DMs are open on Twitter now.
And is there anything we missed about Levana that you would like to share more?
No, just play with it. It's if you come and you play with it, and there's some maintenance that's happening to it, just I would say just try refreshing the tab, 10 minutes
Yeah.
later or an hour later, and play with it again. It is we're going to audit. We'd love to get your feedback. That feedback that we had today about the historical funding rates is exactly the type of information that we really value.
Mhm.
So if you can and also if you can think of just like general vaults or strategies that you'd like to see built on top of Levana, happy to play with that. If you are interested in hearing more about the plans for farming rewards, or if you want to just like help brainstorm about that, I'd say DM us. um, and we'll keep you. Whoa, where I'm falling into the screen. Yeah.
Um,
Um, oh, yeah. So I think it's being reboot right now.
yeah,
Um,
just trying to
oh,
show
the
the people
Discord
the
server.
link.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have that should be updated to the Telegram. Um,
Uh,
the Telegram. That's a great um, that's a great thing. So I will make a change request for that.
so for people, like playing on testnet is free and harmless, so you're not going to lose money. So if you want to try it, I like to lose the real money. I actually shorted Ethereum with $500 at like 1,700. Was over 100% in profit. Now it's declining, but I'm keeping it. Is DYDX also working that the longer you keep, the more you pay?
Yes. So
That's
anything
all
with
good. I didn't know
perpetuals.
that. I didn't
Yeah,
know
yeah,
that.
yeah. Anything with perpetuals is like that.
Okay, I hope it's
Um,
going to dump so I can. I'm just playing with it. I'm like, I think it's very addictive. Yeah, I think I might get into trading and get wrecked one day. Jonathan, thank you for this chat. Thank you for everyone who was coming. Go check Levana Twitter and Discord and read their blog post and test. test day platform on the testnet. I wish you success, and hopefully when the platform is up, you're coming again, so we can trade
Awesome. Yeah,
live.
thanks so much. And again, if anybody wants to reach out, you want to hop on a call, happy to chat.
Yeah, thank you for your
Take
time.
care.
Take care.
Have a
Enjoy the
wonderful